casualties of war are a given. If you are not up to the task of staying focused on battling the winds, take it from someone who has seen the carnage of military operations up close and personal, you are not going to go home alive. The winds are going to take you out. No doubt about it. Perseverance is the key, as Luke indicates in his account of the parable of the sower. Luke chapter 8, verses 11 through 15, my standardized translation. So this is the comparison. The seed grain is the word of the living God. And then those by the way are those who heard the good news of the fulfillment of the promise. Then the false accuser comes and takes away the word from their heart, so that, after believing God's promise, they may not be saved. And then those on the rock are those, who when they heard the good news of the fulfillment of the promise, accepted the word with joy. And these individuals, who believe God's promise for a time, do not have a root, so they withdraw during a time of testing. And then the one that fell into the thorns, these individuals are those who heard the good news of the fulfillment of the promise, and while walking in the way, are crowded out by concerns, and wealth, and pleasures of their livelihood, so they do not carry on to completion. And then the one in the exceptionally good soil, these individuals are those who, after hearing the word, hold it fast in an exceptional and good heart and bear fruit by perseverance. That is by no means the only time the need for perseverance is mentioned as an imperative. Paul says this in regard to the believer battling the winds. Romans chapter 5, verses 1 through 5, my standardized translation. Therefore, we who have been acquitted on the basis of belief in God's promise, have peace with the living God, via our Master Jesus, the Anointed One, via whom we also, by our belief in God's promise, have access to this favor in which we stand, and we boast about a hope of the glory of the living God. So not only this, but we also boast about the things that cause turmoil, aware that the turmoil is going to bring about perseverance. Then the perseverance, approval. Then the approval, hope. So our hope does not embarrass us, because the love of the living God has been poured out in our hearts, via a Holy Spirit, the one that was given to us. The term I translated turmoil in that passage is normally translated tribulation, which makes no sense at all in that context. Turmoil does make sense, because that is exactly what the winds produce in everyone who believes them, and the turmoil that the winds seek to introduce in the minds of true believers, is precisely the opposite of the peace that Paul mentions in the first verse. Paul's point is, even when the winds are able to get through to the true believer, and disturb the peace by causing turmoil, the true believer will still benefit. That's because the wind's success will only increase the true believer's hatred for them, and strengthen his resolve to triumph over them the next time. Now that you know the tribulation at the end of the age is actually a time of turmoil brought about by winds, that the Lord will allow to blow at hurricane force in the very near future. Take a look at Matthew's account of how Jesus described that time of turmoil. Matthew chapter 24, verses 3 through 31, my standardized translation. But while he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, his disciples approached by themselves saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what is the sign of your coming, and the consummation of the current age?" So in response Jesus told them, "Look out, so that someone does not lead you astray. For many will come on the basis of my name, saying, 'I am the Anointed One,' and they will lead many astray. And then you are going to hear about wars and news reports about wars. See to it that you are not alarmed, for it has to occur. But the consummation is not yet. For nation will rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, And there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. But all these things are the beginning of birth pangs. Then they will hand you over in turmoil and kill you, and you will be hated by all the Gentiles because of my name. And then many will be offended, and they will hand one another over, and they will hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and lead many astray. And because the lawless deed has been increased, the love of the many will grow cold. But the one who has continued on to consummation under harsh circumstances, this individual will be saved. And this good news of the fulfillment of the promise of the kingdom will be preached in the entire civilized world as a testimony to all the Gentiles. And then, the consummation will come. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation, the statement that was made via the prophet Daniel, standing in a holy place, let the one who is reading understand, then, those who are in Judea must flee into the mountains. The one who is on top of the domicile must not go down to take the things out of his house, and the one who is in the field must not turn back to pick up his overgarment. But woe to those who have one in tummy and those who are nursing in those days. But pray that your flight does not occur during bad weather nor on a Sabbath, for then there will be intense turmoil, of such a sort as has not occurred from the beginning of the world until now, and never ever should occur. And if those days had not been shortened, there would not be any flesh saved. But because of the chosen ones, those days will be shortened. Then if anyone tells you, guess what? The Anointed One is here. Or here he is. Do not believe it. For false anointed ones and false prophets will arise and give you tremendous signs and wonders, so as to, if possible, lead astray even the chosen ones. Guess what? I have told you beforehand. Therefore, if they tell you, guess what? He is in the desert, do not go out there. Guess what? He is in the storerooms, do not believe it. For indeed, just as the flash of light comes out at sunrise and is seen until sunset, the coming of the Son of the Man will be like this. Wherever it may be that the corpse is, the vultures will be gathered there. But straight off, after the turmoil of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give you her gleam, and the stars will fall from the heavens, and the supernatural powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then, the sign of the Son of the Man will be seen in heaven. And then, all the tribes of the earth will cut themselves, and they will see the Son of the Man, coming on the clouds of heaven, with supernatural power and a lot of glory. And he will send his messengers with a loud trumpet, and they will gather together his chosen ones out of the four winds, from the tips of the heavens up to their tips. Mark gives us a similar account, and he too mentions the turmoil the world will experience at the end of the age. Mark chapter 13, verses 3 through 27, my standardized translation. Then while he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, right in front of the temple, Peter, and James, and John, and Andrew, were asking him a question privately. Tell us, when will these things be? And what is the sign when all these things are going to be completed? So Jesus began to tell them, look out, so that no one leads you astray. Many will come in my name, saying that I am. And they will lead many astray. So then, when you hear about wars and news reports about wars, do not be alarmed. It has to occur, but the consummation is not yet. For nation will rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will be famines. These things are the beginning of birth pangs. So then you must look out for yourselves. They will hand you over to a council, and you will be punched in synagogues, And you will be made to stand before esteemed leaders and kings on account of me, as a testimony to them. Yet the good news of the fulfillment of the promise has to be preached to all the Gentiles first. Then when those who hand you over lead you away, do not be concerned beforehand about what you should speak. But whatever it may be that is given to you at that hour, speak this. For you are not the ones who are speaking, but the Spirit that is holy. Then a brother will hand a brother over to death, and a father a child, and children will stand up against parents and put them to death. So you will be hated by everyone because of my name, but the one who has continued on to consummation under harsh circumstances, this individual will be saved. But then, when you see the abomination of desolation standing where it should not be, let the one who is reading understand. Then those who are in Judea must flee into the mountains. But the one who is on top of his domicile must not come down, nor come in, to take anything out of his house. And the one who is in the field must not turn back to pick up his overgarment. But woe to those who have one in tummy and those who are nursing in those days. So pray that it does not occur during bad weather, for those days will be turmoil, of such a sort that nothing like this has occurred from the beginning of the creation that the living God created until now, and it should definitely not occur. Then if His Majesty did not shorten the days, there would not be any flesh saved. But because of the chosen ones, the ones that He chose, He will shorten the days. So then if anyone tells you, "Take a look. The Anointed One is here. Take a look. He is there," do not believe it. For false anointed ones and false prophets will rise up and give you signs and wonders in order to, if possible, lead the chosen ones completely astray. So then, you must look out. I have told you everything beforehand. But in those days after that turmoil, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give you her gleam, and the stars will be falling out of heaven, and the supernatural powers that are in the heavens will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of the Man, coming back in clouds with a lot of supernatural power and glory. And then He will send His messengers, and they will gather together His chosen ones out of the four winds, from earth's tip up to heaven's tip. Don't fall for the usual translation of "from the four winds" as though the Greek preposition indicates direction. It doesn't. It indicates separation, out of. You must remember what I have told you repeatedly. You are what you believe. The four winds mentioned in that verse are the same four winds that are mentioned in the following passage, which I explained earlier. Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 4, my standardized translation. After this, I saw four messengers standing at the four corners of the earth, holding on to the four winds of the earth, so that wind could not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger, one who was holding the seal of the living God, coming up from sunrise. And he shouted in a loud voice to the four messengers to whom the right had been given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, "Do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have set a seal on the slaves of our God, on their foreheads." And I heard the number of those who had been sealed. 144,000 were those who had been sealed from every tribe of Israel's sons. This is the way Jesus parabolically described the gathering of true believers out of the four winds. Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 through 30, my standardized translation. He set another comparison before them, saying, "The kingdom of the heavens is like a man who sowed exceptionally good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and oversowed tares in the midst of the wheat and went away. So then, when the grass sprouted and produced fruit, the tares also appeared. So when the slaves of the owner of the house approached, they said to him, "Master, did you not sow exceptionally good seed in your field? Therefore, where did the tares it has come from?" So he declared to them, "An enemy, a man, has done this." So his slaves say to him, "Therefore do you want us to go cull them out?" But he declares, "No. So that not once, while culling the tares out, would you at the same time uproot the wheat with them. Let both of them grow together until the harvest. And at harvest time I will tell the reapers, first, cull out the tares and bind them into bundles in order to burn them up, but gather the wheat into my storehouse." Jesus explained the meaning of the parable to his disciples a bit later. This way. Matthew chapter 13, verses 36 through 43, my standardized translation. Then, after leaving the crowds, he came into the house. And his disciples approached him, saying, "Explain the comparison of the tares of the field in detail for us." So in response he said, "The one who sows the exceptionally good seed is the Son of the Man, but the field is the world. Then the exceptionally good seed? These individuals are the sons of the kingdom, but the tares are the sons of the one who is nasty. Then the enemy, the one who sowed them? He is the false accuser. Then the harvest? It is the consummation of the current age. Then the reapers? They are messengers. Therefore, indeed, just as the tares are culled out and burned up in a fire, it will be like this at the consummation of the current age. The Son of the Man will send his messengers, and they will cull out of his kingdom all the deadfall traps, and those who commit the lawless deed, and they will throw them into the furnace of the fire. Weeping and gritting of teeth will be there. Then the ones who are blameless will shine forth like the sun, in the kingdom of their Father. Let the one who has ears hear. Finally, John described the same thing in the book of Revelation. Revelation 7, verses 1 through 17, my standardized translation. After this, I saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding on to the 4 winds of the earth, so that wind could not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger, one who was holding the seal of the living God, coming up from the sun's sunrise. And he shouted in a loud voice to the 4 messengers, to whom the right was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, "Do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have set a seal on the slaves of our God, on their foreheads." And I heard the number of those who had been sealed. 144,000 were those who had been sealed from every tribe of Israel's sons. Those who were sealed from Judah's tribe, 12,000. From Reuben's tribe, 12,000. From Gad's tribe, 12,000. From Asher's tribe, 12,000. From Naphtali's tribe, 12,000. From Manasseh's tribe, 12,000. From Simeon's tribe, 12,000. From Levi's tribe, 12,000. From Issachar's tribe, 12,000. From Zebulun's tribe, 12,000. From Joseph's tribe, 12,000. From Benjamin's tribe, 12,000 who had been sealed. After these things I also saw. Guess what? There was a huge crowd, from all nations, and tribes, and peoples, and tongues, that nobody could number, standing before the throne and before the little Lamb, wrapped in long white robes, and date palm branches were in their hands. And they are shouting in a loud voice, saying, "Our salvation is in the living God, the one who is sitting on the throne, and in the little Lamb." Then all the messengers, and the elders, and the 4 living creatures, were standing in a circle around the throne, and they fell down before the throne on their faces, and bowed down to the living God, saying, without doubt, the blessing and the glory, and the wisdom, and the thanksgiving, and the honor, and the supernatural power, and the might, belong to our God into the ages of the ages to come. Without doubt. Then, one of the elders responded saying to me, who are these individuals who are wrapped in the long robes that are white? And where have they come from? So I said to him, my master, you know. Then he told me, these individuals are those who are going to come out of the turmoil that is intense. And they have washed their long robes and made them white in the blood of the little lamb. For this reason, they are going to be before the throne of the living God. And they are going to serve him as priest day and night in his sanctuary. And the one who is sitting on the throne will camp out over them. They will not be hungry any longer. Neither will they be thirsty any longer. Not even the sun will fall on them, nor any scorching heat. Because the little lamb that is in the middle of the throne will shepherd them and guide them over to the springs of the water of life. And the living God will wipe every tear out of their eyes. That passage is a bit difficult to understand, just because it describes how events that occur in time relate to an eternal God who exists in a timeless reality. That relationship is impossible to understand without the use of parabolic imagery. So to understand it, you need to think parabolically in terms of the Passover parable and the trek of the living Word through the realm of the dead. I'll point out a few things you need to keep in mind and leave it at that. The first group that John mentions can be numbered. He says so himself. Revelation chapter 7, verse 4, my standardized translation. And I heard the number of those who had been sealed. 144,000 were those who had been sealed from every tribe of Israel's sons. In contrast to that group, which can be numbered, the text tells us it is impossible for anyone to number the second group. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9, my standardized translation. After these things I also saw, guess what? There was a huge crowd, from all nations, and tribes, and peoples, and tongues, that nobody could number, standing before the throne and before the little lamb, wrapped in long white robes, and date palm branches were in their hands. Were it not for one telltale clue, one would be left to wonder how this group, which is clearly composed of Gentiles from all nations, and tribes, and peoples, and tongues, relates to the first group which is comprised of the 12 tribes of Israel. That telltale clue can be found in this passage. Revelation chapter 7, verses 13 through 15, my standardized translation. Then, one of the elders responded, saying to me, who are these individuals who are wrapped in the long robes that are white? And where have they come from? So I said to him, my master, you know. Then he told me, these individuals are those who are going to come out of the turmoil that is intense. And they have washed their long robes and made them white in the blood of the little lamb. For this reason, they are going to be before the throne of the living God. And they are going to serve him as priest, day and night in his sanctuary. And the one who is sitting on the throne will camp out over them. That passage tells us the second group are the priests who are going to minister to the 12 tribes of Israel in the coming age. And if you know your Bible very well, you know the priests were the sons of Aaron during the wilderness wandering, but they were the entire tribe of Levites after the sons of Israel entered the promised land. Parabolic imagery. That's all it is. It's the same parabolic imagery you find in this passage from the book of Malachi. Malachi chapter 3, verses 1 through 4, my interim translation. Guess what? I am going to send my messenger, and he will put a surface on the way in front of me. And the master whom you are seeking will come to his temple suddenly. But the messenger of the legal agreement with which you are pleased, guess what? He will come, says His Supreme Majesty. But who is going to endure the day when He comes? And who is going to stand when He is seen? Because He is like a refiner's fire and like launderer's lye. When He sits refining and cleansing silver, then He will cleanse the sons of Levi. And He will part them like gold and like silver, so that they can be those who bring a cereal offering to His Majesty by a declaration of not guilty. Then the cereal offering of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasing to His Majesty, like the days of a burning eternity and like the Cadmonite years.